Hey there, We Can't Wrestle podcast listeners. If you haven't noticed, we have switched our server to Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go ahead, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Highly recommended by me and everybody else here at the We Can't Wrestle podcast. Hello, wrestling fans, and the band is back together again. Kyle.
Hi.
I almost didn't recognize you there.
I know. I got fatter. It's all right.
Haven't seen you on the show. Haven't had you on the show in a while. But all three of us are here watching SummerSlam here, recording this edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
Can I break the illusion and say that we're right now watching the hype package?
We are. We're watching the hype package for Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon at the moment. The SummerSlam party going down here at the, as I call it, the Motley Palace. And this is the living room of the Motley Palace, where we usually record the Motley Suit podcast. The Queen is here, actually. Say hello to the listeners.
I'm too far away.
You're not too far away. I can hear you.
Oh.
The daughter is here, even. Hello, listeners.
Hi.
Hi.
We're filled up. We're filled up with beer and buffalo chicken dip, so our bodies are going to hate us tomorrow.
Lots of breaks. Let's take a break. I got a shit. Well, welcome to this edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, which on this edition of the show we're going to talk about the WWE Invasion pay-per-view. Aaron and I both watched that.
Did you watch it, Kyle?
No, I didn't, but
Way to come prepared. You take like a 4-month vacation, then you don't even bring the supplies you need to bring to get your job done.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the pay-per-view, there isn't a lot to talk about the pay-per-view itself. There is stuff to talk about, but not a lot. But I think it's going to lead to a conversation of the entire Invasion storyline. Because as I was watching the pay-per-view, I started thinking about that storyline.
Well, the thing with the Invasion pay-per-view, it's like that is 3 hours of just disappointment. That's all it is.
And
It's a disappointment.
We will get to that. But speaking of disappointment, let's talk about a true disappointment. Last week, or the week before last, I'm sorry, August 1st, I believe it was, we lost one of the great legends of professional wrestling. Harley Race passed away. And Harley...
I never understood the expression, we lost him. It's like, no, we know where he's at.
He'd be dead.
He's in that cold broom right now.
Matter of fact, we can find him right now.
Kendall and Caitlin are over here having their own show, their own podcast. But,
Go to studio audience.
Oh, good, a studio audience. That's just what we need. When Aaron makes a good joke, you have to go, you still got it.
He's a laugh track.
So back to something serious. Dead Harley Race.
Or usually when I make my jokes, people need to chant.
It's a little stiff, don't
That's
you think?
fucked up. That's fucked up.
Holy shit. Holy
So
shit.
go ahead. About Harley Race. No disrespect to Harley Race.
No, it's Harley as a wrestler. The three of us kind of came in at the tail end of that career. You know, we didn't live through Harley Race's career, but the looking back on it and watching it as time has gone on, Harley was one of the greatest of all time, possibly the greatest, definitely one of the greatest NWA champions of all time. A fantastic promo and one real motherfucker. Actually.
And a fucking scoundrel, too,
And
because did you know that his wife's name is BJ?
I did not.
Yeah, that's not actually her real name. That's nickname he gave to her because that's the only thing she's good at.
Oh my. Harley.
That's
Did you really read that?
Yeah. He fucking nicknamed her BJ because she's like, that's what she's good at.
with puffing on a Marlboro. That's what she's
It's like,
good
Jesus, Harley.
That was an applaud for Harley Race. Dear Lord.
We're supposed to be talking nice things about Harley here.
I'm not the one that did it. I'm not the one that told him the name was what BJ.
This is
I'm
true.
not. I didn't do it.
This is true.
Don't yell at me about it.
But I kind of more knew Harley as a manager.
Yeah.
You know, the manager of Vader, the manager of Lex Luger.
The King.
The King. Yes, the King. But
one of my favorite matches he ever had was his last match with Hulk Hogan.
With Hulk Hogan,
well,
with the
not
table
his last
spot.
match, but, you know, his last big high-profile match.
And they
Very
started
good
doing, when he was injured, they started doing that stuff with his head.
Yeah, where he's like
floating
up in,
around
like up
the-
in heaven or something.
It was really weird. But I think Aaron and I bring it up all the time. The Harley Race bounty promo. You know, somebody take the damn money.
Yeah, no, he wasn't talking about paper towels. He was talking about money.
Somebody get the damn.
You
paper
still
towel.
got it.
Oh, sorry, that was cute, wasn't it?
But anyway, the great angle leading into the first Starcade.
Harley,
with
I just spilled a bunch of juice. Someone take the bounty.
Somebody get the damn paper
Paper
towels. He's got him in a briefcase.
But Vader wouldn't have been Vader, I don't think, without Harley.
Without
Race.
Harley, yeah, it was definitely an act. It was kind of like, you know, Bobby Heenan and Mr. Perfect. Not that
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect wouldn't have been Mr. Perfect,
And-
but you think of Bobby Heenan and Mr. Perfect
And Harley
together.
Race would, like, every pay-per-view match, Harley'd wind up, you know, suit jacket off, taking some big ass bump.
taking a bump from Mick Foley or
Yeah,
Sting
or somebody. And
yeah.
And I think it was also one of those things where, like, with Harley, it's like everyone knows Harley's a badass. And Harley doesn't answer to anybody. And for him to decide, I'm going to be a manager of this guy Vader, says a lot to Vader.
Mhm.
It makes him automatically a badass because fucking Harley's like, I don't want to be on his bad side.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too because if you listen to Jim Ross tell the story, I think it's Vince wanted Harley to become a manager. He didn't want him to leave. He wanted Harley to become a manager in the WWF, but Harley didn't want to hang it up yet, so he went those extra couple of years and wound up being a manager in WCW instead. But I like that group too. Harley Race, Lex Luger, and Mr. Hughes.
yeah.
You know, that's a fun group.
I think if things would have went out differently, it probably would have been Harley and Flair and Mr. Hughes. I think.
Oh yeah, I think I think you're right. That was definitely the
Like,
intention.
Flair
I mean,
bouncing made him go with Luger. But
Flair and Harley teaming up, kind of coming full circle
yeah,
with and that would have been cool as hell actually, having Ric Flair and Harley race together. But yeah, I mean, it's sad, but. At least he didn't live a short life, you know. He lived to be an old age. He was 76, I think,
79.
when he passed away.
If I could make it to there, I'd be a happy man.
I've got to give a shout out to Vince McMahon for what Trevor Murdoch tweeted out about
Yep.
Vince with the airplane. I posted it on our
home.
I posted it in our We Can't Wrestle group on Facebook that you can join. Feel free. Come talk some wrestling, but. Yeah, apparently Harley needed to be flown from, where was it, Florida to Missouri, and didn't have the funds, or Medicare wouldn't pay for it, so Vince McMahon paid for it. It was taken care of, so, you know, for everything people say bad about Vince, that was definitely a nice thing for him to do.
Absolutely. And you kind of wonder, too, could have been the simple fact that he was afraid that if Harley Race pulled through, he'd get a fucking knock at the door. It'd be fucking Harley. Be like,
Thanks a lot, Vince.
But, like I said, for a man who smoked and drank fucking, you know,
Mhm.
all his life to make it to fucking...
Every story you hear behind the scenes of Harley, somebody always says puffing on his cigarette. You know, he was
Yeah.
always puffing on his. Him and Pat Patterson are like the smokingest professional wrestlers ever.
Here's a cool story to show you the amount of respect that Harley Race had in the wrestling business. I think it was Bruce Pritchard told the story that CM Punk even took a shot of whiskey
Yeah.
for Harley's birthday.
I thought you were going to be like, his first wife's nickname was HJ.
Actually, it was butt play.
BP.
BP.
Oh, BP.
the many wives of Harley Race.
Which, I mean, hey.
I think he was only actually married to that one lady. Married to that one.
Yes, it was married.
All right. Anything else on the great king of wrestling, Harley Race, other than rest in peace?
No. Go back and watch A Flair for the Gold.
And go back and watch the Starrcade '83 Bounty promo, and the promo where he gets out of the car, Aaron.
Yes.
Where they it's like an
He's had,
Atlantic
like the most fantastic afros and
suits
and his mustache would like absorb into his afro and flow, and it was just fucking amazing.
And they just have that shot of him just standing outside that Cadillac or whatever, just standing there being Harley Race.
It's like the many fros of Harley Race.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, nowadays you have these, what a pro wrestler's supposed to look like, but like back in the day, Harley Race was like what a pro wrestler was.
Yes,
a fucking barrel-chested badass.
And to me, to be honest, I think that if I'm being honest, 70s wrestling, of what I've watched of 70s wrestling, I feel like in the 70s, Harley Race would have been my favorite wrestler.
Yep.
Because I think he had, until probably Superstar Billy Graham came along, I think Harley had the best rap, like the best promos. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, at that time, Terry hadn't gone crazy yet, Terry Funk, so his promos weren't as interesting. Him and Dory were kind of bland on the mic.
Well, you could see them taking what
Backlund,
Well, you could see that those who got it, where they took what Gorgeous Georgia did and expanded upon it. You could see where it's like those who actually got it. Mm-hmm. Guys like Harley got it.
Because I always say, if I lived in the 70s, I might not have been a wrestling fan, because 70s wrestling isn't that great to me. Maybe at that time it would have been, though, you know, because time is what it is. But
oh, Nate, you still would be a wrestling fan. You'd just be a lot more fucking jaded now. You'd be a lot older, but you'd also be.
But I think, like I said, I think that if I lived in the 70s, Harley Race would have been what made me a wrestling fan. So rest in peace to the king of wrestling, Mr. Harley Race. So we'll move along here.
There was a thing, and I'm going to put you guys on the spot. And if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to answer it. But this was a copy-paste Facebook thing that was going around. Usually they're stupid. Like, like, oh, how many times, like, have you ever been shot? Things like that. Alright, so this Facebook thing it's a copy-paste, and there's a few questions. And I'll read the questions, and I'll read you guys my answers so you can try to think about it.
Alright.
The question is, like, wrestler I dislike. Wrestler I think is overrated. Wrestler I think is underrated. Top 3 wrestlers I like. And I went with current on that one. Wrestler I secretly like. Favorite wrestler of all time. And wrestler I strongly fucking dislike. That is the question.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Wrestler I dislike. Billy Graham. I do not like Billy Graham. And someone asked me, do you not like Billy Graham because of what he was or what he's become? And I said both. I don't like Billy Graham.
Not even the promos?
Not a fan.
No?
Not a fan. Wrestler I think is overrated. Taz.
I can see that.
Taz is super overrated. He's a very good personality, just overrated wrestler. Wrestler I think is underrated. Haku.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My top 3 wrestlers I like. Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor. Wrestler I secretly like. Bob Holly. And this has actually changed, and it'll surprise Nate, and it's like, I still love Ric Flair, but my favorite wrestler of all time is Randy Savage. It's my favorite wrestler of all time.
Well, all right, you said that, and I have to say, I don't know if I mentioned it to you or not, or who I was talking to about it, but for the longest time in my life, my favorite wrestlers, have always been, and Savage has always been up there in my top 5 or 6. But, Shawn Michaels was always my favorite. And as I get older and I watch old stuff over and over and over again, and I watch people's careers, as they develop in their promos and their matches and all that. There are times where I do think Randy Savage is my favorite wrestler of all time.
I've decided that Randy Savage is my favorite wrestler of all time.
Dig it. Mm-hmm.
And then a wrestler I strongly fucking dislike is Buck Zumhoff.
I think we can all
Fuck
agree
that
on
piece
that.
of shit.
Fuck Buck.
So, do you guys want to play or not?
Kyle, you should play.
Yeah, I'll play.
Okay, give me a wrestler you dislike.
Jeff Jarrett.
Wrestler.
Now listen. I'm going to strongly say that I think Jeff Jarrett as a person is a great fucking person. He seems like a nice guy. I cannot stand his fucking gimmick. And you can say it's because he's a heel, and kudos to him. He did it perfect, because I cannot fucking stand Double J Jeff Jarrett.
And Billy Graham, let's go back to Billy Graham for a minute. Billy Graham, every time he's like, the WWE is a piece of trash, and Vince McMahon is fucking horrible, and da-da-da-da-da, and then they're like, hey Billy, your kidney's failing. Vince, I'm sorry about what I said.
Yeah.
So fuck that guy. And plus I heard that Dusty's body wasn't even in the ground yet, and he was positioning for that promo
promo
job.
class
so
job.
Fuck him. But I mean, if you don't like Jeff Jarrett, that's fine. Wrestler.
I love how Aaron asked you which wrestler you didn't like, and then turned it into get more heat on Billy Graham. Like,
and then he's like, here's what a worthless piece of shit Billy Graham is, and
I understand you don't like Jeff Jarrett, but back to Billy Graham.
You should hate Billy Graham, and Jeff Jarrett's far better than Billy Graham, but that's all right. It's your opinion. You can hate him.
Who's the wrestler you think's overrated?
I said it a couple weeks ago. Bret Hart.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Look.
You can't be right all the time. Buddy.
Hey, listen. I prefer Owen Hart over Bret. Bret's good. There's something about Bret in any interview I've ever seen, anything, he is just too full of himself.
Okay.
Where and it's like he wasn't. If he was as damn good as he says he was, then Vince McMahon would never have allowed him to leave in '97 for Shawn Michaels. I mean, the point is that, I don't want to get back into this. I like Bret. I like Bret. Don't get me wrong. I just think he's overrated.
Okay.
Who's a wrestler you think's underrated?
You guys are going to laugh at me. Disco Inferno.
Nobody laughed. See? Nobody laughed.
No, hang on. Look, in fucking the early 90s in WCW, it's like... especially towards the tail end, Disco Inferno had taken that spot that Eddie Guerrero had, and as they moved up the card, Disco was that guy that consistently gave good matches in WCW.
I'm going to say this, that I don't mind Glenn Gilberti, and I appreciate Glenn Gilberti for the fact that Glenn Gilberti knew that, and I've heard him say this, and I've heard Raven say this because Raven's buddies with him, that Glenn Gilberti never got into professional wrestling thinking I'm going to be the world champion. He got into professional wrestling not being like I want to be Hulk Hogan. He got into it saying I want to be the honky tonk man.
Right.
I want to do this gimmick to where whatever. But I am going to say that anybody that's on here, you're going to get some hate because you said that Disco Inferno and Eddie Guerrero in the same sentence.
And I understand.
That's okay. And I get what you're saying.
But yeah, like I said, he was the guy that really, when Eddie and Benoit and Jericho and all them moved up to the higher echelon, who was those underneath guys that really, name me anybody else besides Disco that was that underneath talent that was just below the upper mid card.
I get what you're saying. 3 current wrestlers that you like.
Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
Kevin Owens.
Alright.
And Kofi Kingston.
Cool. Wrestler you secretly like.
Oh shit.
You undercover like this guy. A lot of people hate on him. You just like this guy.
All right, you guys are gonna laugh. I mean, it's gonna be one of those things, but I'm a big fan of fucking Big Daddy V.
Big Daddy V.
Big Daddy V.
Like that gimmick,
I
or
like-
that?
no,
the guy in general.
I like Viscera. I like
Okay.
I like
Okay. Because Big
Mabel.
Daddy V was nasty.
he was nasty, but like I said, I liked Mabel. A lot of people like to talk shit about him, but
Have you seen the new Mattel figure they put
Uh-uh.
out? The new King Mabel Mattel figure?
No.
It's actually, I'm not a big Mabel fan, but it is a cool figure. Anyway, check it out.
He was look in pro wrestling. I understand that you have to have those guys who are work rate. You got to have those guys that are technicians. I'm still a big fan of those guys that are, like Andre and the Big Show and
Yeah,
the
Yokozuna,
attractions.
that they're
You
the
need a big-
attractions. And
Like,
Mabel was a fucking
WWE doesn't
attraction.
have a big fat guy right now.
I wasn't going to go big fat
You
guy,
need
but
a big fat guy.
but you
There's
need that
always been a
attraction.
big fat guy. Every
generation
has
has
a
a
big fat
Gorilla
guy.
Monsoon.
There was like that Happy Humphreys and then Haystack Calhoun. What's the Happy Humphreys thing? That made
About
me laugh.
Harley Race
About
wiping
Harley
his
Race
ass.
had to wipe his ass and bathe him with a mop. He laid him down spraying with a garden hose and ran a mop over him. That shit cracked me up. But and then after Happy Humphreys, it was Haystacks Calhoun, and then
That Baby Huey guy, or
Baby
whatever he
Huey. There's a
was.
big fat guy. And I'm a big fat guy now.
Samoa Joe comes on the
Samoa Joe's
TV.
on
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, they got Braun Strowman now, which is
But
not
he
a
ain't
fat
big
guy.
fat
No,
guy.
I know, but he's the
monster.
Yeah, he's their version of that attraction. Because really, when it comes down to it, pro wrestling is nothing more than just attraction.
Right.
I mean,
Well, it used to be. Now, your favorite wrestler of all time.
I'm going to preface this by saying that it switches around depending on who I just watched recently and who's the most recent in my mind. But it's always going to be between Macho Man, because I agree with you on that, Shawn Michaels, and again, people are going to shit talk, but big fan of Cactus Jack.
Okay. Well, there is a gun to your head. You gotta pick one.
If I had to pick one, I'm going to go with Macho as well. Because of the simple fact that, if you ask...
Well, he only belongs to me, so I'm pulling the trigger.
Dig it, brother.
But
No, I'm not. You're gonna have.
everybody talks about Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan is the fucking wrestler, but Macho Man had that voice that everybody fucking imitates. Don't care who you are.
His promos were great. His gimmick was great. He lived it. He breathed it. You felt it.
Exactly.
And 99% of the time, if he was on the card, he was the best guy on the card.
Yes.
And last but not least, a wrestler you strongly fucking dislike.
That's what I strongly fucking dislike.
Strongly. With a mad hatred passion. Dark side.
Mojo Rawley. Fucking hate Mojo Rawley.
I'm surprised Bruce didn't come up yet.
Who was
Aaron
it?
didn't bring... I think Aaron didn't bring up Beefcake just because he's let that be known very hardcore.
Yeah,
over the-
and
He's a Hall of Famer.
I was
is.
going off with the dislike. I was going off the fact that Brutus Beefcake's never done anything that to me was outrageously bad or horrible.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't like Brutus Beefcake in the ring or his promos or anything like that. But I don't think Brutus Beefcake's a piece of shit human being. You know what I mean? He seems like he's been married to the same lady the entire time he's been working. He seems like he has good kids and all that stuff. He's made stupid mistakes, he took cocaine to a Subway and all that other shit. But who hasn't?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody in this room, but I'm just saying we've all done stupid shit.
No, wait, did he take cocaine to an actual Subway or to a Subway restaurant?
No, he was working. He was working at a Subway.
He was working at the Subway, as the person that let people through the turnstile. And it was during the whole anthrax thing, and people thought it was anthrax.
But it was his
and it got the situation was getting way out of control to the fact that Brutus Beefcake had to be hey, I'm just gonna let everybody know because you're bringing in dogs and hazmat people. It's just my cocaine.
And from that day on, he was known as Brutus Beef Coke.
I'm kind of sad that it's not
that was
Subway
bad.
the restaurant because,
He probably works at one now.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
shaking my head no.
sees Bruce Beefcake fucking strutting and cutting at Subway restaurant, making your 6-inch fucking snorting cocaine.
Long.
So Nate, do you want to play the game?
Yes.
Okay, give me a wrestler you dislike.
Wrestler I dislike.
You can say Billy Graham if you want.
I'm sold.
No, wrestler you dislike.
Wrestler I dislike, I'm going to have to say Sam Houston. I think Sam Houston. No, I'm saying because
I'm assuming you fucking strongly dislike. You're saving for RG.
yes. Sam Houston was pretty fucking lame. Like, I never saw anything with that guy that I really liked.
That's one of my favorite Billy.
He was goofy looking. He I don't know. He didn't have, to
That
me,
was
he didn't
one of my
have
favorite Jim
charisma.
Cornette things ever. When he's talking about them all being on the plane and how him and Baby Doll had heat because they were together, and he's like,
Yeah.
"We're on the plane," and Sam's sitting on her lap.
But I never liked him with his stupid neckerchief and his
Jake's
stupid
little
hat.
brother, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he's
Little
Jake's
step-
half brother.
Well, it's still a little brother.
Because him and Rock and Robin are actually full
Yeah, but
brother
I
and
don't-
sister.
When I have a
but-
brother. or
well, yeah,
sister,
no, I know,
so
but-
yeah, whatever.
We're semantics.
Yeah. Okay. Wrestler you think's overrated?
Overrated, the Dudleys. I think
I
the
can
Dudleys
see
are
that.
overrated. The Dudleys kind of, and I'm not hating like you said about Taz. It's not like you hate them. I mean, but I think they're overrated. I don't think that. There's a couple of things. First of all, they took the table thing and they rolled with it, and that's fine. In that era, that was fine. And the only reason that they were so tag team champions so many times was because they were in two different companies during the Attitude Era when titles changed all the time. So I think that if I look back at their career, I think they're a bit overrated. And that's not hating on either one of them or anything. The Dudleys don't age well with me.
God damn, I didn't realize Charlotte Flair was so fucking tall.
Charlotte's in the ring with
Maybe-
Trish Stratus
maybe
right
it's the
now.
fact that Trish Stratus is just short.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
I don't know. Trish looking good though.
But then the Dudleys are overrated.
I can see that because, like, especially with the interviews that you see them in, like they act like that they're the be all end all.
Yeah.
Bubba does.
He does.
Devon,
Yeah,
Devon's pretty
Humble.
Yeah, seems pretty down to earth. I mean, there's a reason he's still working there.
but it's true.
Wrestler you think is underrated?
Underrated.
Disco Inferno. Thank you, man. I'm glad that you agree with me on that. And
Actually, I think he's underrated. I think he should have got a bigger shake in the... And I know he was there and he was kind of an integral part of it. But I always thought Psychosis was kind of underrated.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that during that Rey Mysterio
Like
era of cruiserweights, I don't think Psychosis got the
he was better than
elevation.
I wouldn't say that he would be like, put him over like Ray or Eddie,
Mm-hmm.
But he's better than Uvi.
He's better than Hoovy, and I think he's better than Billy Kidman too. And that's not hating Billy Kidman, but I picked Psychosis over Billy Kidman.
unfortunately, at the tail end of that, especially after Hoovy took his mask off, it was you had like Ultimo Dragon and Rey Mysterio that were those masked wrestlers,
Right.
And Psychosis,
And they were at such a high level.
and even La Parka to that same.
Oh yeah, I love La Parka.
Was at that level where like they were like, oh well, these are the masked wrestler guys, but those were the compared to like Ultimo Dragon and Ray.
My underrated luchador is Liz Mark Jr.
Liz Mark was pretty
Liz Mark.
badass. Yeah,
I like Liz Mark.
I like
I like-
Super Callow.
Yeah, Super Cal is one of them guys that was like, he was light, but he was real thick. So like
Yeah.
when he hit the mat or whatever, it made an impact.
Just a chubby little Mexican. Top 3 current wrestlers.
Top 3 current wrestlers. AJ Styles.
Okay.
Let's see.
What's
We got AJ Styles
Yeah, I was like, who else is...
and okay, so AJ Styles,
Okay.
Adam Cole,
Baby.
and see Bray Wyatt's kind of fallen out of favor with me. Hopefully this new gimmick reboot does something for him.
And that was why, like I said,
But-
he's back on my list because this whole
He hasn't had his
theme.
match yet.
Probably.
I think it's gonna be his first match since he got his new shit.
Yeah.
But his ring work's not what worries me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's
Yeah,
always
it's the
been
push. It's the push and the. But yeah, I'd say probably AJ, Adam Cole, and a toss-up probably between Kofi and Velveteen Dream.
Okay.
I know I was supposed to pick 3, but
solid.
Velveteen Dream's coming up, man.
You know what?
I called that one from the beginning.
I got a second.
I was a mark for that guy before he.
It is so nice to see a gay wrestler that is not like
Is that guy gay?
portrayed as. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not portrayed as like a freak or
Yeah.
or
anything. He's just
I
it's
didn't
like
know he was
just
gay.
happens to be his.
I didn't even know he was gay.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
So is that why they got rid of like Darren Young? Because they're like, we only have one.
yeah. You can only have one gay black guy. Poor Darren Young. He comes out
But they have to have one of those crazy like
fucking.
non-taken care of kid in play after thing. Okay, who's the wrestler you secretly like?
Warlord.
All right,
Like
I don't think you've made that a secret.
Well,
but
I
that's
think I don't make it a secret in the house. I don't make it a secret like I don't know. I don't make it a secret amongst the boys. But you know, when I'm
Conventions or-
talking wrestling with people that aren't close to me, I don't usually bring up how big a fan I am of the fucking Warlord. Just saying.
Man, I like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He gives people stutters, drink beer. I like the Warlord.
I like the Warlord. He had a cool staff,
Yeah.
hung out with Slick.
which made no sense.
It was
But
the
anyway,
90s.
their union made. I loved it, but it made no fucking sense. Like, anyway.
Oh, shit.
Okay, who's your favorite wrestler of all the times?
I'm gonna say because we went down this Macho Man Randy Savage road, so I'll just stick with Shawn Michaels and say Shawn Michaels, even though as time goes on, the Macho Man edges his way up.
Okay, wrestler you strongly fucking dislike.
That's the last one, isn't it?
Yes.
Ronnie Garvin. I think I've gone on an extent about
Yes.
Ronnie Garvin on this
So
podcast.
you guys took the dislike thing different than I did. Like I didn't like.
You put dislike like you disliked him as a person.
Yeah, you're a scumbag. Like superstar Billy Graham and Buck Zumhoff.
Yeah, oh yeah, Buck Zumhoff and that Sweetan.
Bob Sweetan. Jake Roberts.
Yeah. Well, Jake Roberts' daddy, Grizzly Smith.
Yeah.
Terrible human beings.
But
He was born out of love, and I love him to this day.
No, you
As
raped,
they
you
hit
raped
that,
his
as
mom.
they hit that rock with a hammer, like
Yeah,
why is
He
that
wasn't
happening?
born out of love. You raped his mom.
right.
Which is fucked up because it's like you show up to have a father and son like talk things out, and then it's like we can go bang on a rock.
You go
Guys,
bang on a rock
yeah.
with the sledgehammer.
like at the beginning of the film, he's banging on the rock with his dad, and then in the middle of the movie, he's banging on the rock in that hotel room.
Is this chocolate or?
No, what the fuck is that?
He's like, his dad's like, Jake, a couple of the bookers told me that you're hitting the rock all the time. Figured you could help me out. I learn how they are here.
It's like my grandfather.
Been breaking that fucking thing down since '73.
Yeah, it's like my grandfather. It's like you go over for like family get-together, like I'll give you guys a nickel if you go out and pick the rocks out of the field. Like, no,
Sorry, that hitting the rock joke is fun.
it was good.
Fuck you, Jake Roberts. Pay Jerry
Hey,
Gray.
Jerry Gray, you piece of shit.
All right, we're gonna take a break as the SummerSlam party continues here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. We got Trish Stratus and Charlotte in the ring.
Charlotte's about to pop
Is it just
out.
me? Is it just me? Or anytime they have the women's wrestling, they always have this fucking dude. This referee is like a fucking creep.
Yeah, he was also like a Combat Zone wrestler.
Was he?
Yeah, isn't that the guy, Aaron?
Yeah.
And WWE hired him to be a referee, and people were like, "Well, why? You know, you're gonna have to stop wrestling." And that guy was pretty much like, "I'm working for the WWE
now. Suck my left nut.
Yeah.
I don't have to bump, and I don't have to like throw myself in a wood chipper to to make
Yeah.
$20 and get a fucking Nathan's hot dog. Actually making money.
Hey, let's have you jump.
Staying in hotels. Staying
Hey.
in hotels with air conditioning.
I got an idea.
Hey, how about if you jump up off roofs and thumbtacks and barbed wire? I'll give you 3 Newports and a Nathan's hot dog. Make it 4 and you got a deal.
4 Nathan's hot dogs? Jesus Christ.
You don't fucking break the economy with that.
I'm going to be out $8 after this.
Damn it.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back with part 2 of this edition of the We Can't
three-parter.
Wrestle podcast. All right, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast, SummerSlam edition, as we are having our SummerSlam party, all full on beer and buffalo chicken dip and pizza and such. Watching the video for the Randy Orton Kofi Kingston WWE Championship match.
Speaking of beer, we can get a chance if you guys haven't seen it, go watch Steve Austin drinking fucking like it's Sex on the Beach and the
That's
birthday
good
tea. It's fucking hilarious.
Yes, it is.
Sugar bullshit.
You got to listen to him talk about the blinker too.
Oh, that's one of my favorite things ever.
You have to. All right. That being said, now we get to the. Are we going to do Invasion now? We're going to do the meat and potatoes of the show.
Whatever you want to do.
The WWE Invasion pay-per-view, which was the beginning, I guess, of the Invasion storyline that I think this is more going to be a discussion of than the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view itself is actually, I mean, I don't know, Aaron, when you were watching it, if you got more than I did, but it's very nondescript. There wasn't a lot of quote-unquote notes or anything that I took, really.
Some notes.
But it just, I have some, but it got me thinking about the whole storyline in and of itself.
Here's my problem with the Invasion pay-per-view. On a pay-per-view that is boasted as WWF versus WCW, okay, and ECW because whatever. But the fact is that this is the pay-per-view that everybody has fucking dreamed of.
Mm-hmm.
What would happen if WCW fought WWF? And on said pay-per-view, you have a match for referees, and it's like, what?
Well, that's going to be an over-encompassing thing about the whole Invasion storyline. We'll start with the pay-per-view here. It's in Cleveland, Ohio, the Gund Arena. It is July 22nd, 2001. And one of the notes that I took, just because of the touring schedule or what have you, during this time, it worked out where Cleveland got a lot of important. The Gund Arena wound up just, I don't know if it was just luck of the draw or what, but the Gund Arena was where they had the simulcast of Raw and Nitro,
Yep.
when Nitro went off the air, and they had this Invasion storyline, and
They had
there was
SummerSlam '96 there.
Mm-hmm. A lot of things just luck of the draw and scheduling. The Cleveland audience back in from '96 to 2002 got to see a lot of shit.
Yep.
But so the Invasion pay-per-view goes down, like I said, July 22nd, 2001, from the Gund Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. And
I
Aaron,
think the Invasion thing, it just did all. The only thing, I shouldn't say the only thing I didn't like about it, because there's things I think about it, but it became like the video was just all of the McMahon's faces and everything like that. Every McMahon was involved in it, and I think that's kind of what watered it down.
it absolutely is. It became not WCW, ECW, WWE.
Stephanie McMahon, the Shane Vince thing, that was cool, but Stephanie McMahon didn't need to be the owner of ECW.
Right.
The
They could have just let it be Paul.
Mm-hmm.
The greatest Stephanie as ECW general manager thing was fucking One Night Stand 2006 when fucking Mick Foley's like, he's like, I wish we could take ECW back to the control of a visionary, a world changer, Stephanie McMahon, long live the alliance.
That and when he tries to get out of the match, like we shouldn't
is a
be
bad
doing
idea.
this.
We
This is a
shouldn't be
bad
doing
idea.
I don't want to do
Is
this.
this a light?
Yeah.
Nobody answer my questions.
I just wanted to see if you'd pull on it.
That's what she said. Or he said, I don't know.
Someone.
So the
That's what
first
someone said.
that's what
Somebody said it.
omnidirectional.
Omnisexual.
The first match in this pay-per-view is Lance Storm and Mike Awesome against Edge and Christian. And I put here, it was a good match, and Edge was way fucking over at this time. Like, you can see why they wanted to push this guy, because he was over like a rover at this time.
And Michael Cole said something that I forgot. Like, the match is going on, and he says, if you remember, like, he's talking about how good Lance Storm is, but then Michael Cole goes, and if you remember, Chris Jericho last week said Lance Storm looks like Forrest Gump. And I also think that Mike Awesome should have been, I know, like, people say he was weird and whatever. I think he should have been a bigger deal than what Mike Awesome was.
Oh, he absolutely. Which is, it's kind of fucked up, too. Like, I know we're talking about Invasion, and I don't mean to jump around here, but,
Okay.
like, One Night Stand, the original, when he faces,
Masato Tanaka?
yeah.
I love watching Mike Awesome wrestle Masato Tanaka anytime Mike Awesome wrestled Masato Tanaka.
Absolutely.
Those are some of my favorite matches of all time.
But I just watched it the other night, and there's a moment when Mike Awesome does a suicide dive, and fucking, and looking back on it, it's just like, whoa.
Is that during during that match on the alternate commentary? Is that when JBL says he flies like a couch?
He's got the flight
Yes.
path of a
He's
couch.
got the flight path of a couch.
But Styles says he's like, he went for a suicide dive, and I wish he would fucking do it. And it's like, ooh.
Well, he didn't know.
I know he didn't know, but it was just like, wow, that doesn't fucking age well at all.
But I thought this match started out kind of boring, but it eventually picked up, and there was a really cool spot where Mike Awesome was going to go for a awesome bomb off the tippity top rope, and Christian turned it into a back body drop. So like Mike Awesome took a back body drop off of the top. It doesn't sound like much now, but I just thought it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Christian, and do you have anything else on that?
No.
And then Christian and Edge over on Awesome and Storm. I gave the match 2 stars.
I just put good match. I'd give it probably 3 yeps. 3 Jeff
Yep,
Farmer yeps.
And then William Regal and Vince McMahon are backstage.
Which
and
is
guess-
always fun.
And guess what? They're in a fucking office.
Not standing in front of a TV screen.
Yeah. And it just looks like an office. Go figure.
They're not standing in an awkward position where they just both happen to be, just perfectly positioned for the camera
And
to have a non-natural conversation.
And there's not posters of like upcoming movies and
Yeah.
The best
It's just a
office,
fucking
the best things hanging in office ever were Teddy Long's office. Because he had a picture of Martin Luther King and a picture of Vince McMahon. I always loved that. I don't know, it's just a nice touch. Teddy Long always had his heroes hanging in his office.
I'm a big fan of fucking Mick Foley's offices where it was just like random.
He'd have a cactus.
Well, it was just like a
He's on
random
the
spots
forklift.
throughout the fucking building.
So the next match is the referees match you were discussing.
Yes.
Earl Hebner
Versus
against Nick Patrick.
Yeah.
And the special guest referee is, as I put on here, the human hamper, Mick Foley.
Like why
Comes
is
out
this
looking like a hamper full of dirty clothes.
like why is this even on here? Like,
I'll
why
tell you
is
what, you want to know why it's on there. You watch that crowd. They fucking loved everything about it, man. They were into it.
I
Like
think
they
they
were
were-
reacting more than people react on Raw now.
This is true, but I think I think it was more of like the anticipation of what was going to happen that night because correct me if I'm wrong, this was their highest selling pay-per-view of all time.
Yeah, because people expected it to be completely different than what it was.
Well, yeah,
in one of the promos, and like during the promo, like the package video or whatever, the WCW referees show up, and Roy Hebner's like, "Hang your crappy shirt up over there." That made me laugh.
Well, Hebner goes over Nick Patrick
Yes, and my rating was, it happened.
here. Pretty much. I don't even have a rating written down.
And there's a Tough Enough promo.
And we have a segment with Deborah and Sarah, now the ex-wives of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker.
She's only about a year late from being in the fucking closet calling the fucking cops to get that piece of shit out of here.
It was terrible. It was terrible. And the rapist DDP
yes.
gimmick was just trash.
There's another part of and like I said, this is going to be a discussion of the entire storyline. That was another disjointed part of the storyline that is probably one of the Undertaker's worst feuds, and it could have been good. And I say that because they never, in that entire feud, from a booking standpoint, let DDP get an upper hand.
Well,
he always got beat. There was never I don't even remember a segment where he had an upper hand on the Undertaker.
But not even just that, but it was also the fact that they
even Sarah pinned him.
Yeah.
But like even that, it was like originally it started off as being like a mental game to get into the mind of the Undertaker. And then all of a sudden he's building shrines to fucking Sarah, and it's like, oh, so now he's
really obsessed.
Yeah, like he's a fucking creep and not just doing it to get into the mind of the Undertaker.
Yeah, and it was just
like you look at his actual wife. And then you look at Sarah.
Yeah.
You're like, why would you want Sarah? She got man face.
She does have man face. No disrespect to the Undertaker.
Yeah, he probably don't give a fuck. he's cool about it.
Yeah, let's say
he turned that Sarah tattoo into like something else.
Yeah.
He's over it.
Yep, he's.
So the next match, the APA against Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Hara.
This match is boring.
Well, what I put here is during the match, the APA beat the fuck out of these guys.
I
it was
say,
a boring match.
It was.
It was funny too because like you watched like I noticed this like you watched the APA, you know, and they had Bradshaw giving the rah 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 like speeches and stuff. We're gonna take out WCW and all that, but it's like they're giving that to like the Heat guys.
Yeah, Spike Dudley and
Crash Holly and Crash Holly. And like when like Freddie Blassie is giving his speech, like Undertaker's in there, Big Show's in there. It fires up Stone Cold to come back.
This match is another prime example of what was wrong with this storyline. Okay, you have the APA, who you have built up to be some tough, badass sons of bitches, right? You have an invading force from WCW, and you have Sean O'Hara and Chuck Palumbo, who were neither one of them were terrible wrestlers. They were decent wrestlers. They were young. They were green. Okay, but you have an invasion. Why not let these guys get some heat on the APA? I mean, first match out, and they're beat already. You've shit the bed already on this. You could have had them let the APA get to have the high road or have the advantage for a while. But then Palumbo and O'Hare do some dirty shit, and then you get a beat down or something. They don't have to pin them
because Nate, we gotta put Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Hare through the fucking paces. We gotta make sure that goddamn it they deserve to be here.
Okay, that's fine. Do that in the back. But when you're on camera and you're trying to fucking build a storyline, you know what I mean?
I agree with you, but that's the problem is that
beat them up in Poughkeepsie. There ain't no cameras.
Not in Cleveland. No, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio.
Because, like I said, when I saw this, I was like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. Because you go back and watch APA versus Public Enemy, and APA versus Dudley Boys, and it's like, oh, they're gonna beat the fuck out of these guys.
So next we have a segment with.
Go ahead.
The
APA beat O'Hara and Pumac.
Yeah.
And it was 1.5 stars, and it was boring.
It was boring.
And then there's a promo in the back with Vince, and guess what? Once again, his fucking office with Chris Jericho.
And I put on here a very funny line from Jericho.
Yeah, I put he called him a chunky jelly belly.
And he also said, The bovine-like Paul
Yeah,
Heyman.
he calls him a bovine, and then he calls him a chunky jelly belly.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because isn't this where they pan back out to Stephanie and she's like, "I hate Chris Jericho"?
No.
Is that
No.
Survivor Series?
It's a different thing. You would have known if you prepared.
I didn't watch the pay-per-view. Sorry, everybody. I was working, and look, it's my fault. I'm a horrible host.
I didn't say that.
I said it.
Okay.
You didn't have to say it. I said it.
And then Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Paul Heyman, and Billy Kidman, they do some shit backstage. And up next is the actual first good match of the show.
It is a really good match. X-Pac and Billy Kidman.
X-Pac comes out to his shitty music, which is just Uncle Cracker, what you looking at.
But actually, do they even use it on the network? I don't remember. Okay.
Yeah, they do.
'Cause I know
remember I talked about on our last show that I hate that fucking theme.
And
then it's like, I know you hate you ain't gotta look at me like that. What you looking at? And X-Pac comes out and nobody gives a shit. And then Billy Kidman comes out, and guess what? Billy Kidman, his entire career, always had really cool music. Like, I forgot, he was one of the guys that they left his WCW music on him until they got him that rap song, which was cool.
Yeah.
But, even his WCW, that it's like, that's a good guitar riff song. And these guys go out there, and people don't care about X-Pac, but they have a really good fucking match.
Billy Kidman might be a guy that I would say never, like Psychosis. Yeah, he never got his fair share, his fair due. I mean, I know he's still there today, and he's making a living, and he's chunky, but I don't know. I never thought he got his fair shake either in the career.
But I also respect him because he wasn't a bitcher.
Mm-hmm. And he's the one.
This is where I'm at. This is where I'm cool. I'm happy. I'm banging Tori Wilson. Why should I complain about anything?
Life is good.
Yep.
And Kidman beats X-Pac, and I gave that match 2.5 stars. And like I said, so far on the show, it's the best match.
Same here. I agree. It was the best match so far on the show.
And then DDP and the McMahons and Paul Heyman, they have some kind of thing in the back. And then they show Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler. And I, to this day, will say that Tori Wilson's the GOAT. She's the greatest of all time out of hot wrestling chicks. It's Tori Wilson. She's the best. They're talking about their boobs and ass. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, because
Vince McMahon was probably like, these are our 2 best acquisitions from WCW.
Yes. I'd like to acquire that vagina.
And it's weird because if you watch now, where we just saw Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair, and it was a athletic competition, and everything else. With the rise of Becky Lynch, and then you go back and you watch this, where it's like, we have better butts and boobs than the WWF girls. It's like,
well, a different time, my friend.
Yeah,
let's go back to that time.
No, let's not go back to that time, because it's like, I don't need to see pudding matches. Look,
you don't need to see them, but you want to see them.
we live in the age of the
It's
internet.
kind of like, I don't need to eat this entire bag of hot wings, but I'm going to do it because it's amazing.
And I understand that, but look...
And I'm going to feel bad about myself afterwards, but I'm going to enjoy doing it.
We live in the age where you can, just a quick Google search, and you can find anything that your heart desires. We don't really need to see it in our wrestling.
The next match that I put here was a weird match. It was weird.
It wasn't any good.
It wasn't good, and I was surprised because of the guys in it, because I'm a fan of both of them. It was Raven versus William Regal. It's kind of a weird match, it's an odd pairing. I don't know. They really didn't. Aaron can attest to this. I think they didn't have any chemistry in the ring together.
No, it was bad.
Taz gets involved here, and little Taz comes in, and
so Raven over Taz.
Raven over Regal.
Yeah, Raven over Regal. Sorry, I gave it 1 star just because it's got
Two
William
good guys.
Regal.
It's got
Yeah.
two very talented guys in it, but it's kind of a nothing happening match. Then we got Vince McMahon in the back with the Brothers of Destruction. And I have to say, I wrote here, I wanted to bring this up at this time because we really haven't ever talked about it before on the show, and I don't know when we will again. Looking back, like during that time, I didn't mind it. But looking back, I almost wish that there never would have been the American Badass gimmick. I don't know why, but just looking back now, I'm not a big fan of the gimmick.
I was not a big fan of the American Badass where he had like the
Or,
leather.
I guess I'll say I wasn't a fan of him as a baby face in that gimmick.
Yes, him with the button up denim shirt and everything. Like when he cut his hair, it was, you know,
When he was Booger Ray.
yeah, like that was badass.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
I agree.
If he had been that, even as babyface, if he had been that and not come out with the long trench coat and the fucking like long bandanas and shit, like
I don't know, and I understand why they did it. I think that him and Vince maybe thought that the Dead Man gimmick had run its course, and he wanted to just be able to be him for a little while. But yeah, to me as a baby face, I just, like I said, it was decent as a heel. I could have done without the whole thing though.
this is true. But you know what though, and I honestly you got to say that I think it did run its course, because once you get to the point of satanic, you know, Undertaker, it's like you really can't go anywhere fucking else. You know, I mean,
Aaron, what do you think about that?
I like short hair and Booger Red.
That's what we were just talking about. The American Badass babyface gimmick, I'm not a big fan of, but yeah, the Booger Red, you know, the feud with Flair and the shit with the Hardys.
I can understand
and,
why the guy wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta change your shit up. I get bored at work.
So sometimes you just put on a bandana and go in and beat a motherfucker up.
I am an American badass.
Ride in on a power wheel.
I fucking can see it too. Are you scared? He's here.
Being sung to the cashier's desk by our favorite band in the whole world.
Limp Bizkit.
All right.
Yeah, him going. Tony Chimmel saying, "Here to perform."
The WWE's favorite band in the
favoriteest band in the whole wide world. It's like, are you a fucking child?
Like you've had Motorhead, you've had Drowning Pool,
It's just the way he
Saliva.
said it. Our favoriteest band in the whole wide world.
Your favoriteest band is fucking Limp
Limp
Bizkit.
Bizkit. Fuck off.
Well, the
The
next
next match is the Big Show, the one Billy Gunn, and Albert
Ugh.
versus Sean Stasiak,
Ugh.
Canyon, and Hugh Morris.
another overrated, you know, that we were talking about overrated and all that. Another overrated wrestler, Billy Gunn.
I thought you
Yeah.
were gonna say Canyon.
Not a whole. I actually like
Canyon's
Canyon.
underrated.
I actually like
Oh,
Canyon.
underrated. I'm sorry. I thought you
Yeah,
said
no,
never mind.
overrated.
Sorry.
Billy Gunn, I don't see.
Bill DeMont's pretty underrated too.
Yeah, yeah. But this match was just kind of there. It was, you know, to get some people on the card, a 6-man
And then-
tag.
And then they let WCW win, but then they just get the shit kicked out of
Of
them by
course.
Big Show.
Of course.
It's his alley oop, which was a stupid move.
Which
Like, why is Big Show doing the alley? And for one, why is it called the alley oop? And two, why is he even fucking doing it? It was a bad move. It was dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Just let him chokeslam a motherfucker. That's what people want to see.
Yeah. So that was just kind of there. I gave that one yep. Just a yep.
I would get it. No yups.
No yaps.
No yups.
No yaps.
Next up is William Regal made a match earlier with Tajiri against Taz because of Taz getting involved in his match.
I actually liked this little match.
I liked this match was cool. I liked this match because Tajiri was in it, and like I could put Tajiri on my toast because he's my jam. Like I like that guy.
Tajiri.
I like Tajiri.
You know,
and he blows it in Taz's face.
if anybody has never seen it and you want to smile, I want you to go on YouTube and watch, what was it, about a year, 2 years ago when Tajiri came back.
Yeah, the
and they had the reunion of Regal and Tajiri.
For the Cruiserweight Classic.
did you ever see
Yep,
that video?
yep.
Tajiri is so happy, and then Regal's that's just that breaking the fourth wall, like, oh my God, he's back. But Tajiri is so happy. It's like one of the greatest, not on any TV show. It's just something they did for the internet. It's one of the greatest things.
He walks in, like Tajiri walks in the WWE Performance Center, and the first person he sees is William Regal, and he's like, he's so happy. And he's like, oh my God.
He's fine.
And I love the fact that like he hugs William Regal and William's like, yes, it's good to see you. And he's like,
yeah, he then breaks the
WWE
fourth
would
wall.
just put William Regal with these batshit crazy people.
Eugene,
Umaga.
Oh man,
Umaga.
One of my favorite little funny things ever though is Eugene wins this. I forget what pay-per-view it is. It's a pay-per-view. It's when he's first, with Regal, and he wins him. I think it's against, I don't know if it's Cade or who it is. He wins a match, okay? And he's so happy. And then him and Regal, as Eugene is getting out of the ring celebrating, him and Regal play Got Your Nose. And it is one of the funniest. Regal's like Eugene goes like this and Regal goes like that, and then he goes like that. And it's really funny. But anyway, yes, back on point. Taz and Tajiri. Good little match.
Then Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy are in the back, and Matt Hardy is dressed in like if you wanted to look at what 1999 through 2001 looked like, you just look at what Matt Hardy's wearing. Like he's wearing like a fishnet shirt with like a stupid necklace,
a big thick chain necklace,
and some like Tommy Hilfiger
and
jeans,
one of the belts that like clips like this, and then around it, it's got like it's black and it's really thick, and it's got like not divots. They're not called divots. What are they called? I don't remember.
Oh, eyelet holes?
Yes. It's got the eyelet holes all around the belt.
Yeah, Matt is in total 1999, 2000.
I know exactly what chain you're talking about because it's those giant fucking ball necklaces.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're like oh god.
The buildings hadn't fell yet, so we weren't in
yeah.
We need to take a look at what we're doing.
God, I had some of those.
Well, and he's wearing like a netted shirt.
I never had those.
And then Rob Van Dam does what needed to be done and smashes that motherfucker with a steel chair and runs away. And then we have the absolute most fantastic match of the night.
Yes.
These guys have a hardcore match that isn't just like cookie sheets, and it's what a hardcore match is supposed to be.
Like Foley and Edge.
Yes.
It is what a hardcore match should be, because it's not I'm sorry, but it's not ECW hardcore, it's Mid-South hardcore, if that makes sense.
No, yeah.
Which I like ECW hardcore.
Some. A little played out.
The only thing that I gave this match 4 stars. And the only reason I gave it 4 stars is because, and I'm not a wrestler, so I can't say, I'm right. But I think the spot they hit should have been the end of the match. The end of the match should have been Rob Van Daminating that chair into Jeff falling in that pit, and then Rob jumping on him and pinning him. Like, Rob should have never had to get down and get him out of the pit.
Yeah.
Because he didn't even try to pin him. Like, if he would have tried to pin him 1, 2, kick out,
right,
and Rob would be like, oh shit, that didn't even take him out. He should have pinned him in that pit.
Agreed.
That's the only flaw I saw with the match. Because after you do that spot, what else is there after that?
Mm-hmm. You've gone too far.
And I think when they did the ladder bump, I think the ladder was supposed to go the other way. I think Jeff was supposed to fall into the ring, but because if you watch, the ladder's tilting, and Jeff's just like, fuck it, this is happening. And like Jeff takes a bump from a 20-foot ladder onto the ramp. It's fucking nuts.
Aaron,
you've been supposed to go the other way.
You've been interrupted by the anonymous Raw general manager.
Fucking Hornswoggle, you piece of shit.
All right. So, yes, great match between Jeff Hardy and Rob Van Dam. A note that I had, I guess it came to me during this match or something. A note that I had here, having Michael Cole and Jim Ross, who are both good play-by-play guys. The commentary for this show's bland. There's
Well, it's
not
because
there's not color
they
to
didn't
it.
they didn't have an adversarial voice.
Yeah, and they didn't have someone there for the WCW and
That's what I'm saying,
ECW and
an adversarial voice is what I'm saying. Like they should have. I don't know. Like they.
Should have Paul Heyman.
Paul did nothing. I shouldn't say he did nothing. He didn't do anything on the show.
right.
Like like those segments that he's in, that could have just been Shane and Stephanie.
Mhm.
If Stephanie's the boss of ECW, why is her little fat lackey need to be back there? You know, have him be out there and be arguing and. Yeah, it was two WWF guys. It didn't make any sense. Paul should have been out there.
So now our next match is it's Lita and Trish against the aforementioned Tori and Stacy. Bra and panties.
Gave this match 8 stars.
and
And
Aaron and
27
Kyle, Aaron
yep,
and Kyler,
yips.
you guys can't see it because I should go Facebook Live with this, but you guys can't see it. But Aaron and Kyle were just mean mugging each other. Just
You're like Dave Meltzer. You don't like boobies and ass.
It's not that I
Didn't
don't like
happen
boobies
in the
and I love
Tokyo
boobies
Dome.
and ass. I just don't need to see it on my wrestling. There's things called like Pornhub and everything else that you can go to if you want to see boobies and ass. I'm watching wrestling because I want to watch wrestling.
I like boobies and ass.
I do too, but you never see them.
I like.
They just tease it.
I like.
No, I
I'm
take
a
that
fan
back.
of the female form.
I take that back. You get to see Mae Young's boobies and Royal Rumble 2000.
Those are fake boobies. Well, so are Tori's.
Royal Rumble,
But-
Miss Rumble 2000 is one of the greatest
It
segments
is?
in
Oh,
wrestling
it is.
history.
Woo!
Jerry Lawler's reaction to Mae Young
But-
makes me laugh every single
Oh.
time.
And you know, Kyle, I can tell you this: you don't want to see it in your wrestling, but those bra and panty matches were something that the WWF doesn't do. Or
All right, so now the main event of the Invasion pay-per-view. It's the WCW ECW Coalition. Boy, that's an intimidating name. The Coalition. It's Booker T, Bubba Dudley, Diamond Dallas Page, Devon Dudley, and Rhino, with Mr. Shane McMahon and Ms. Stephanie McMahon Helmsley,
and Paul Heyman,
and Ms. Paul Heyman.
Ms. Paul Heyman.
Yes, he's got boobies. Against Chris Jericho, Kane, Kurt Angle, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Undertaker. That is Team WWF. Team WWF's pretty impressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Team WCW ECW.
Coalition.
They're all right.
They're all right. But here's, the biggest single problem with the Invasion storyline, and this is what I've been trying to get to the whole time, is this match right here. Well, it's summed up in this match right here. Because Stone Cold turns on the WWF, right?
I don't like it.
I didn't either. The problem is, the real story of this whole storyline is by the end of it, it's all about WWF guys. You know what I mean? The main guys are Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, The Rock. I mean, the only guy that really rose up out of this as a guy that was from his company is Booker. Booker's the only, you know what I mean? Booker's the only guy that rose up out of this thing and was
somebody. I was gonna say somebody had to turn. You know, like this was the initial thing. So WCW, ECW had to win,
right.
and somebody had to turn. I would have turned to Chris Jericho.
Yes,
And
or
I would have turned to Chris Jericho for the same reason that the NWO came in to invade. Like Chris Jericho should have turned because he should have been like, when I was in WCW, I was one of the hottest things going. People wanted me. I'm Monday Night Jericho, and I was so hot that the WWF wanted me. And I go to Vince McMahon's house, and he tells me, "You're gonna be the next big thing."
we shared
Chris.
a brownie.
We shared a brownie, Vince. You only share brownies with friends. And the brownie was full of lies. Because all you did, you fed me a bullshit brownie. Because since I've been here, all you've done is keep me down. So I'm going to go back to a place that appreciated me. I'm going to go back to a place that offered me more money to stay. I'm going to go back to the loving arms of WCW.
See, and it's funny that you say that.
But it's Steve Austin who had no reason.
No,
to
and you
turn
know
on
what?
The only reason he would have had to turn on WWF is because he didn't like Vince. But for like a whole 6 months, he was like hugging Vince.
Yeah. Well, no, and it's funny because you say the way that you would have turned Jericho. Because when I thought about it, I thought the same thing, but not Jericho. This is where I would have turned Undertaker, and here's why.
I don't see Undertaker with WCW.
I do. For all these years, while you were fighting WCW, while you were fighting the federal government, while you were fighting Hulk Hogan, when Hulk Hogan left you, and Bret Hart left you, and Randy Savage left you, and blah 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 left you, I was here. I was here. I was the Undertaker. I was here. I was here. I was here. And every single time, we're going to go with Bret Hart. We're going to go with Shawn Michaels. We're going to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin. We're going to go with The Rock. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think he would have had good storyline motivation to be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to play for the other team now. Because I've been here for 10 years and you've been fucking me around. I've been your reliable guy, and it's always somebody else that you pick to be the man.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay. And I like both of those. But if we're going to play a what-if scenario, let's look at the simple fact that this took place, what date? What was the date?
July 22nd, 2001.
July 22nd. By February of the next year, you had the NWO in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? A lot of those Turner contracts ended out. Why not wait? Why rush it?
Mm-hmm.
Why not build?
At this time, I think they rushed it because they thought at this time they were still intending to do a separate television show.
But even if the fact is, though, before this, because, correct me if I'm wrong, was the Buff Bagwell Booker T?
That was before this, yes.
Okay, at that point,
I think
it was too. At this point, it's like if you know for a fact that
it was before that because they did that and it was a fucking disaster. So that's when they said, "Oh, we need to
infuse WWF
we need to bring in ECW into it and all that other shit."
At that point, it's like, okay, let it simmer, let it build until you can free up some of those other contracts. Because the problem is that I truly believe that this pay-per-view Invasion killed the entire storyline because people were waiting for this night to see Flair, Bischoff, NWO, Sting, Goldberg.
Yeah.
And you didn't get any of that. You got Stone Cold Steve Austin turning.
Right. And like I said, that's what ruined the whole thing is it became about WWF guys using ECW and WCW names.
Yes.
The brands.
Which is even fucked up because...
why was Rock the WCW champion?
What was it? The night after Survivor Series. Ric Flair was in the company.
Mm-hmm.
So...
The night after the whole storyline stops,
there's Ric Flair,
mm-hmm.
which don't get me wrong is a cool moment, but still the fact is that you can't sit here and tell me why didn't they just wait?
And here's the thing, here's what tells you the Invasion storyline. Aaron, you might think this is funny, you might not. I don't know. Here's what tells you the Invasion storyline was pretty ass-tastic. The only two things I really remember about it is Stone Cold Steve Austin turned on the WWF, and Test won the Immunity Battle Royal. That's all I remember. I remember the beginning and the end.
There was wind beneath my wing, the wind beneath my rings, and then Milkamania. That was fun.
Yeah.
When Kurt. And there's some good
but
stuff.
that could have happened without this even being a thing.
There's some good stuff. What I'm saying is there's good stuff sprinkled into it. And it would have been fine if it just would have been an inner faction.
Yeah.
Or better yet, imagine, if you guys will, we're going to play a game real quick here. Imagine.
I would almost prefer them to call it the NWO than just WCW.
Because it was just a faction within the WWF.
Yeah.
Imagine, if you guys want, that if they had just waited. They had just waited until after WrestleMania the following year to start all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Bischoff walks out Monday night and says Vince, God damn it, I'm part of your, you know, I would like a job, but he's infiltrating from the inside.
He's weaseling his way in.
You know,
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, here comes Goldberg, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, Goldberg is taking out people, and Eric's like, no, it ain't me, it's, you know, and all of a sudden, and it all leads to a big fight between WWF and WCW, where WCW is victorious, and all of a sudden, Monday Night Raw becomes WCW Monday Nitro. Even for 1 week, just to fuck with people. And everyone was like, what the fuck? And it's, oh, guess what? We're not going to do the Royal Rumble this year. We're going to do fucking...
Sold out.
You know, we're not going to have WrestleMania this year. We're going to have...
Super Brawl.
You know, just fuck with people. People were like, what the fuck? Like...
But nothing good ever came of this, really.
No.
And as a matter of fact, you can probably point to this storyline as the times. Not that it was terrible. Like there's been a lot of good since then, but this was kind of the time where shit started sliding down, especially for our generation of wrestling fans. This was kind of the tipping point of when, you know, maybe it took a few years, but I don't know if you guys agree, but this is kind of the point where things started going downhill.
It fell off the cliff after like 05.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just like this. You know, Sting made the comment that it was because he saw the way DDP, Booker T were treated that he didn't come to the WWF sooner. Mm-hmm. It's because of shit like this.
Yeah.
Where if they had a
He
stronger...
was like, yowie, wow.
Exactly. They had a stronger build. Who knows? You could have had Sting still in his prime. You could have had fucking... I mean, the fact is...
The possibilities were endless.
Absolutely.
And it could have been a big deal, and it wasn't.
The match itself was pretty
Yeah, oh
goddamn
yeah, the
good,
match was
though.
good. There's a lot of fucking talent in this match.
Like, I gave this
Much
match
like
3
we talk
stars.
about pay-per-views and stuff today. You know, you can complain all you want about the storyline, but the work in the match was really good.
This was a 3-star match.
Yes. And the pay-per-view overall, I gave 3 Jeff Farmer yeps.
I gave
And
it 3 as well.
And the fact is, you had a way to make Steve Austin Stone Cold Steve Austin again. Because imagine if they had played this out, if you wanted to do the experiment of Steve Austin being a bad guy, because you name me a bigger moment during that time than when Steve Austin fucking shows up the Monday Raw before the Invasion pay-per-view and fucking beats the fuck out of WCW.
See, that's the other part I didn't like about the like if somebody laid this story out to me, the chink I would say in it would be this: Steve Austin doesn't want to talk to Vince. Like, Vince comes and talks to him in the bar or whatever, and he turns his back to him. You know, he's not going to listen to him. And then Steve's at the bar, and he's watching Raw on the TV, and he's listening to these speeches, and nothing's, like, you know, resonating with him. And then Fred Blassie, like, stands up out of his wheelchair and says, "Stand up and fight." And Steve, like, breaks the pool stick, and he's like, "Nah, I'm going to go to the arena, I'm going to kick some ass." Because Fred Blassie stood up and fucking told me to. And then he just turns.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, that part of it doesn't make sense to me. Like, that's the part of the story that's like, that doesn't work.
There was a lot of this that didn't make sense. It was, yeah, you're right, though.
And as much as you wanted to say, like, Undertaker should have turned, I think Angle should have turned. He should have came out and turned and been like, "Vince, I loved you, but you don't care about me. You care about Steve Austin. Like, I've been your guy." Or turn the Rock.
Who did? Sorry. It wasn't on your idea.
No.
Aaron's
But-
like the study of this.
Yeah,
paper
or turn the Rock.
this podcast.
But don't turn Steve Austin when it clearly the last 6 months hadn't fucking worked.
Clearly, everybody knows it should have been Jericho.
Clearly, it should have
Why
been
did
the
I sound like a
Undertaker.
little bit like a
I don't
Paul
know.
Heyman right there?
If I may volley,
If
sir.
I may volley my ball to you, sir, it should have been Chris Jericho.
My idea for the Undertaker is phenomenal. All right, we're gonna take a break.
Should have been. It was me, Austin.
That's Invasion, and when we come back, we have one
It
more.
was not a bad show.
No, it wasn't.
Like, this is what I'll say about Invasion, and then I'm done. If you watch the show, it's not a bad show. If you look at everything that surrounded it, it's a cluster.
It's kind of like a lot of WWE pay-per-views now.
Yeah, like the show itself, there's not really, other than the Sean O'Hare,
The 6-man.
and the 6-man, it is what it is. It got some guys on the show, and Kyle, the bra and panties match. I know you don't like scantily clad women. But that was something that the WWF doesn't do very much now. That wasn't for the people sitting at the audience, like sitting on their couch watching the show. That was for the people in the building. And it was a buffer between what we do here and going into the main event.
No, and I get that.
But the show itself is structured good. The fans are into it. It's a solid fucking show. There's not really a bad match other than that APA Sean O'Hare Columbo match. It's a good show. I was entertained by it. I just think Steve Austin turning and going to WCW was stupid.
Okay.
He had no reason to do it.
No. Can I tell you my one thing that I enjoyed most about this show, above everything else?
When they took the boobs away?
No, when the fact that they have a separate entrance for WWF and a separate entrance for WCW.
Yes.
Like, that is fucking brilliant.
That was good.
Because then it's not like, well, what the fuck? Like, they're all backstage.
That's
in
a
the same
little.
area.
That's a little thing they would definitely not do today.
No. And that fucking makes it so much because it's like, then you, for the love of God, I'm asking for a little bit.
Look at this guy.
I'm asking for a little bit of believability.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
Yes.
We all understand that wrestling's a work, but goddamn, don't spit it back in our face and make us feel stupid about it.
When we
About this one, he's wearing serial killer glasses.
Aaron is. We have SummerSlam paused right now because the main event's coming up, and we want to watch that as we record the last part of this. Because
Aaron's looking at people in the crowd now.
And right now,
God bless high definition television.
right now it is the hype package, and Seth Rollins is facing Dolph Ziggler, and there's people in this crowd, and Aaron is, well, he's judging them.
All I can see on this sign is Kim, Big Chick tonight.
All right, we're gonna. This segment has gone over.
He's happy about Kim's Big Chick. Yeah.
And so, all right.
Cushion better than pushing.
The guy next to the Glorious guy. You see the purple shirt Glorious guy? No, up. Keep going up.
These
up.
people can't see
over,
this, guys.
over. Yep, that guy's mad
Well,
about it.
these guys are talking about the TV.
That guy is
I'm going to
pissed
send
off.
us to break.
He is not
The
happy.
segment
when
has
he
gone
sees it.
over. When we return, we have 4 championship belts, 4 iconic championships that we are going to. We're going to tell you and each other the people that we identify the most with those titles. That'll be a quick segment to end the show here on the SummerSlam edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the We Can't Wrestle podcast, the SummerSlam edition, as we are about to partake in the main event of SummerSlam here, Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar.
For those at home, Brock Lesnar is just now making his entrance.
Even though we paused it, so
Yes.
technically this match is probably over. But
They don't know that.
could still be going on, hell. But that being said,
Brock can't go more than fucking.
Pyro.
Arrow.
Welcome back, the return of Pyro tonight.
Oh,
So now we're going to talk about championships.
Yep.
And people that the one person that we highly identify with that specific championship. And Aaron actually came up with 3 of them, and then I threw a 4th one in.
Can I say something real quick before we get into the championship talk and
Sure.
everything?
Oh.
People sit there and say, like, oh, when it comes to a championship belt, the belt either makes the guy or the guy makes the belt, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we was here. But the fact is that the belt always makes the guy first. And it's what that guy does with it that makes the belt. When Flair won it from Harley Race, Flair, I don't want to say Flair was a nobody, but Flair was unproven with what he could do.
He took it to the next level.
He did. The belt always is going to make the guy first. That's what the belt does.
Mm-hmm. And then that guy has to live up to the belt and make his mark on the championship.
Yep. Make it mean something.
So when you guys think of the ECW World Championship, Kyle, who do you think of? Who's the first person that comes to your mind when you think of the ECW World Champion?
I think it's Shane Douglas.
Me too. That was my pick.
Yep.
Was Shane Douglas. It wasn't your pick? No.
You guys talk about Shane.
I think of Shane as the ECW champion for a number of reasons. First of all, I think of him wearing the belt.
Yep.
And I think of the fact that, of course, the speech, the promo.
Where he throws down the NWA championship.
And I just think that he was ECW's Ric Flair. He was ECW's Hulk Hogan. He was the guy that when you think ECW, I personally just think of Shane Douglas. He's the first guy I think of.
Well, and again, like I said, we're going to talk. We've talked plenty about ECW, and you know that ECW is a hardcore, violent product, but especially in its later years. But at the time, like when Shane Douglas held the title,
he always had the wrestling match.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, a lot of the guys that held that title, it was about the tables on fire, weapons. But at that time, Shane Douglas made the ECW championship mean something because he was a wrestler.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, the promos.
Yes.
Like he was the first guy to really take the outlet that Paul Heyman was offering and go balls to the wall with it. And I have to say this, the only time in his career that I am a fan of Shane Douglas is when he's in ECW. I mean, other than that, to me, I am not interested in Shane Douglas. So I identify him as the perennial ECW champion. Aaron, who was your pick?
Raven.
Raven is a good pick.
And the reason being, and Shane Douglas is cool, and I can even say more so that, I was a fan of Shane in WCW when he was with Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas was a cool team and all that. But to me, it's Raven because I think about that. I didn't have complete. We didn't have complete access to ECW.
Right.
And so a lot of my access to ECW was magazines and like the Raven Tommy Dreamer through pictures and stories and everything like that. That's what resonated in me to ECW. And when the Triple Threat was the thing, like Shane did a lot of stuff kind of circled around him, but like Raven to me, when I think about ECW, I think about Raven.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think about Raven and Tommy Dreamer because everything in that company
For at least 3 years.
stemmed out of Raven and Tommy Dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think of Raven as the ECW champion.
All right. So the next belt that we're going to discuss, I'll let Aaron start this one, the WCW United States Championship.
And I'm going to preface this on saying that We're talking WCW, not like, the NWA United States Championship.
Mhm.
This is WCW. So like what would it be, 1991?
92 until the end.
Yeah. Fucker.
We have cats in the studio.
It would be Rick Rude.
Rick Rude.
When I think of that, what that U.S. title looked like, when I think about it, I think of Rick Rude.
Mm-hmm. He was a. That's definitely a good pick. I mean, I can see that. I actually, to be honest, I picture Rude. When I picture Rick Rude, it's funny because when I think of Rick Rude, I think of WCW Rick Rude. I don't think of WWF Rick Rude. I think of him with the short hair and the U.S. title.
He's one of the guys that when he was in WCW was utilized better than when he was in the WWF.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I think about Rick Rude feuding with, like, Ricky Steamboat. That's one of my favorite feuds of all time. And it was over that belt. And that's who comes into my mind when I think of that version of the WCW Championship.
Mm-hmm.
It's Ravishing Rick Rude.
Kyle?
I think of Eddie Guerrero.
A good pull.
Especially because the fact that, like, at the time when Eddie wore it and stuff, they used it as, like, this is the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a man from Mexico that came to the United States, has done everything in Mexico, and now he is the United States champion. It is the proverbial American dream.
Like Aaron said about the Rick Rude, Ricky Steamboat feud, Eddie also had a fantastic feud over the belt, trading the belt back and forth with Dean Malenko.
Yep. And honestly, it's a tie between the two, like I said, between Dean and Eddie, and even Chris Benoit. But, I mean, like I said, to me, for the fact of, like I said, the American dream and what that title represented a chance. So to me, it's Eddie.
You guys are probably going to disagree with me, and I know why. I'll know why.
I disagree.
Because I disagree, sir. Because I've
never seen fucking Brock move that fast.
I know that he had a much longer reign as the television champion, but when I think of the WCW United States Championship, I think of stunning Steve Austin.
Yeah, that's a good pull.
He was
a close second to Rude.
He was a good champion. He was back to Steamboat. He had a great feud with Steamboat over the title.
Him and Dustin had phenomenal matches.
Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people, like I said, as far as WCW goes, I think a lot more people would identify Steve possibly with the television title because he was a great TV champion too. But yeah, I loved Steve Austin as the U.S. champion, and he's the one that but you two had good pulls, and I definitely agree on Rude. Just like I said, because he's one of those guys, like you said, that in WCW he was better than he was in the WWF. They let him be him.
Yep.
So the next championship that we're going to discuss, Kyle, we'll start with you. I'll go first this time. I'll give you guys this one. I hate to say it. I hate to do ties because it's not fair because you're supposed to pick one. But I have a tie with this one. It's the WWF Tag Team Championships, and my picks. I have to say I could not make a final decision. But to me, when I think of the WWF Tag Team Championship, I think of the Hart Foundation, Brett and Anvil, and I think of Demolition. Like Demolition
exactly
to me,
the same way.
Fucking Demolition wearing that's my childhood. Demolition wearing the WWF Tag Team. Those
fits
belts.
so well with their outfits.
Yeah,
and they were. I've said this before, and people will tell me. People say, "Oh, well, Demolition was just a Road Warrior ripoff." I think Demolition was cooler than the Road
they
Warriors.
definitely were cooler than the Road Warriors. I love them. I love me some Demolition. I'm looking forward to meeting them this October.
Yeah. And the reason I like Demolition more than the Road Warriors is because Demolition would have competitive matches.
I was about to say the Road Warriors were a great attraction, but they were kind of a one-trick pony. I think that the reason that the Road Warriors, some of it was the booking, and some of it was Hawk's Demons, but I think that the reason that the Road Warriors in the late 90s didn't have the success that they had in the 80s, I really do believe that because they were such a one-trick pony, they just couldn't evolve.
Yeah.
They couldn't evolve. I mean, you watch LOD, I know we've got off our topic here, but you watch LOD wrestle the DOA, those matches are fucking boring. It's boring. They're boring. When they and Owen Hart and British Bulldog are one of the best tag teams of all time. When they matched them up with the Road Warriors, the matches were fucking boring. The LOD
And when I hear "Darn and darn and darn," I'm like, "Fuck yeah,
damn,
yeah!"
here comes the axe.
Here comes the smasher.
Yeah, like the image of the image,
walking disaster.
the images
is one of the best like taglines.
Yeah,
ever.
walking disaster. The images of the Demolition, Miss Guzzi. The image of Demolition walking down the aisle at Trump Plaza
With Fuge with him. Oh, look at the cat. He's gonna knock the beer can.
with the, he's a dick. What a dick.
Sorry.
the image of Demolition walking down the aisle at Trump Plaza at a WrestleMania is iconic to me.
Yep.
With those titles on,
And with Fuji,
And
like
with their-
Fuji worked with him, like you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like they like I don't know, Fuji with Demolition was just amazing.
and they worked well as heels. They worked well as faces. They were great. And to me, the Hart Foundation. I mean-
and I'm not gonna lie, I was in the same boat. I was like, do I want to put Demolition on here, or do I want to put the Hart Foundation?
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, they're the quintessential teams in the WWF.
Yeah, me too. Did you have different picks?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to skew a little bit to the more modern age with this, but Edge and Christian.
Edge and Christian, yeah. I mean, but see, but the thing is with those guys, and I'm not discounting that.
No.
I totally see what you're saying, but with those guys, if I'm jumping into the era,
It was a three-team roster.
yeah, the Dudleys, the Hardys, Edge and Christian.
But
That's-
at the same time, and I agree with you, but any time those three got into any type of fray, it was usually Edge and Christian that came out on top.
right
Like it's the payoff.
at the end of the day, yes.
You know, yes, you had the Dudleys and and you had Jeff and Matt Hardy, but like Edge and Christian to me just they gelled better as a tag team.
Mhm.
Like they were that. And maybe it's because that they were basically like the heels
Right.
in the entire situation. So
Mhm.
but it's just to me, like I said, Edge and Christian to me, it's like they just.
All right, let's add one wrinkle to it real quick before we
Mhm.
move on to the last belt. Who is a team that didn't ever have it? Now this was a cool spot.
Yeah.
But who's the team that didn't ever have it that you guys thought should have? Like would have been cool WWF Tag Team Champions, even if they had like a 2-month reign or something. Because I know who my answer is, but I'm curious to know what you guys.
Well, my answer is the Rockers.
Yep.
Okay.
I think the
Same.
Rockers defending against Powers of Pain, defending against Heel Demolition, is like the Rock and Roll Express. They sell for most of the match and then they come out on the top in the end somehow. I think the Rockers, and we all know they got the title win, but it got screwed up because of the TV
belt.
taping, etc. But yeah, I think the Rockers would have been cool as babyface tag team champions in the WWF. Was that?
No,
No.
that wasn't my answer.
Okay.
My answer was the Rougeau brothers.
Yeah. As heels or
I think they
faces?
would've- No, heels. The Rougeau brothers as faces, they were fine. But the Rougeau brothers as fucking
They were
heels,
fucking.
they were fucking phenomenal, man. Like, I know people hate on Jacques Rougeau because he was like a prick behind the scenes or whatever. But when he'd go out there in the ring and shit, that dude was great. He was a great heel, and I just think, like, are they gonna be tag team champions for 3.5 years? No, but like a good 6 month like
Mhm.
Rougeau brothers heel tag team title reign would have been cool.
I think so too. How about a Bushwhackers tag team title reign?
How about no?
I like the Bushwhackers.
Whoa!
I like the Bushwhackers too, but
I was just joking.
the only thing that would have been great about that is like if they would have like taken like belt like bite marks, you know, like the leather and shit. Like they're just eating the championship.
Have a snobby team win it from them. So like we're gonna have these we're gonna have
Rougeau brothers!
yeah, we're gonna have to have these. We're gonna have to have these steam
Sanitized.
cleaned, and we're gonna have to have the leather.
Oh.
Seth Rollins is curb stomping the shit out of Brock Lesnar, and he
Holy
just beat
shit.
Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship in as Bret Hart would say, in the SummerSlam.
I gotta say, as much shit as people like to talk about Brock Lesnar, that was actually a pretty entertaining match.
I don't know why people talk shit about Brock Lesnar.
Me neither. He's a good businessman. He does the job. He earns his money. He gets out of there. All right, so the last title that we're going to talk about, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And Aaron, I'll let you start this one.
And I am going to preface this on this that I'm stating that when I brought up the NWA Championship, and Nate, you know I said this before the tragedy that we talked about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going with like the big gold belt.
No, me neither.
I was going with...
I think
the
you're about
10
to say what
pounds
I
of
was
gold.
about to say.
It's Harley Race.
Yep,
Harley Race.
yep. It has nothing to do with him dying. The minute you put NWA Championship on that list, I didn't think of Ric Flair, because when I think of Ric Flair, I think of the big gold belt. And I didn't think of Harley Race. Harley Race with the NWA World Championship belt.
Like you don't think about Dusty.
No.
You don't think about...
I think of Harley Race holding that title,
Saying, I
folded
will-
up
saying
in his arm.
as
I'm
he-
the greatest goddamn wrestler
Seeing-
on God's green earth.
On God's and only one human being. He would always say only one human being. He didn't say being, he said being. Only one human being could be the world's heavyweight champion. It's Harley Race. Harley Race is the when you think of the NWA Championship belt, you think of Harley, the king of wrestling,
Yep.
the NWA champion. And that's a good way to bookend this show. That was good.
Absolutely.
That was good stuff.
I have good ideas sometimes.
And we go from
And we all agreed on that one.
the
There was
NWA
no
World Championship, that is the most prestigious title in all of sports wrestling, to the Universal Championship, which
it makes
it's
some good
red.
matches. Yeah, it's
red.
those title belts nowadays just not as
It's bedazzled.
not as distinct as they used to be. Well, let's
I like my title belt to have dings in it. You know, it's like that belt. It just looks it looks
Perfect.
pretty, and all this, that, and everything. I like the belt to have dings in it. I like the leather to be a little tattered.
I like the fact that for the
Because
longest...
people have been fighting for this fucking thing, and every time somebody else wins it, it just doesn't go get refurbished.
yeah.
For the longest time, the WWF Tag Team titles stayed the same.
Well, all of them did. All of them did.
Well, what I'm saying though is like, even when like the WWF Championship changed from like the Winged Eagle to the Big Cookie style and everything.
I like it. The big cookie.
Yeah, that's what it was. It looked like a giant fucking cookie.
Well, I was about to.
Does he walk with El Paso Jones?
Yes, it does.
I'm
Big
El Paso
cookie.
Jones. I'm a big cookie.
Big cookie by my
Even when
side.
they changed the Intercontinental Championship to the purple fucking round globe,
Mhm.
like the tag team titles still stayed the same, and it was like, and when you look back in history, you go, oh, well, that's, you know, like I see the Hart Foundation fucking having those titles, and now here, you know, oh fuck, the Smoking Guns had those,
Yeah.
and then now,
Well,
That pay-per-view sucked.
okay. So, quick last question, and then we're going to sign off.
at least it wasn't 6 hours long.
We're
here.
going a little long.
Yeah.
Aaron. Actually, first I'll answer my own question first. Favorite championship belt? Mine is the Winged Eagle belt. The Winged Eagle WWF Championship belt is my favorite title belt. Aaron, what's your favorite title belt? Appearance
Just
wise.
aesthetically?
Yeah.
Aesthetically?
Yeah,
Or
mine's the
talk
Winged
to that?
Eagle.
Mine would be... Because I don't want to tie. It'd be the big gold belt.
The big gold belt. Okay,
I
Kyle's
don't
gonna say
want-
the big gold
I
belt.
don't want to tie either.
Now I give a.
Can I... Well, I guess I'll say...
Well, hang on.
My second... Like when I'm talking about the big gold belt. My second... I love the look of the Intercontinental Championship like Kurt and Bret had.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd put the big gold belt ahead of it.
Yeah, I like that belt too.
I'll put the WWF or WWE Undisputed Championship.
That's a good looking belt.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, it felt like that was the final incarnation of like the Winged Eagle. The Winged Eagle went to the Big Cookie, or the Big Eagle, and then it finally went to
I don't know why big.
I love Big Cookie.
the Big Cookie belt.
Caitlin, come on.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
Time to shine.
You scared the cat.
The studio audience.
I don't know.
That's
We're
why
clapping for Big Cookie.
that's what it sounds like when I get done having sex. 3 people cheering me on.
I thought you said. I thought you were gonna say you scared the cat.
Oh,
You
shoot.
still got it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
The
You can't wrestle.
all right. We're gonna end this. I swear to God. All right, ugliest title belt.
Ugliest title belt.
Yes. Oh God.
I know you're gonna. I know what you're gonna say.
You do.
Yeah. But you say yours, Kyle. What's
The
the
original WWF Women's Championship.
That's pretty ugly.
It looks like they just fucking threw that thing together.
Mine would be ugliest wrestling title belt would be the I did not appreciate the EC like the WWECW.
That's what I was about to say.
I thought you were gonna say those Raw tag belts. With
No, they're fucking ugly. But no, the ugliest belt is that silver ECW championship
Yeah.
that Matt Hardy and Mark Henry had. That thing was fucking. It was terrible. It was terrible.
And I like
those those world tag team titles are ugly too, with the fucking Spartan helmets.
And I like the idea of it, but that new 24/7 belt, that's fucking gross.
Yeah, that looks cheap.
And then I didn't like. I actually, honestly, don't like the belt that the WWF had.
Oh, with the small weird plate.
Yeah, they had like the circle and the small plates on it, and Backlund had it, and it, like once Hogan won it, and they got away from it.
Mhm.
They had like the green strap.
Yeah.
That was fucking gross. And then that big ass fucking, what was that big ass fucking belt that Magnum TA had? It was like his entire chest.
That was what was that? I don't even remember what
We might
that
have
was.
to pause so we don't sound
Because
fucking
it's like
stupid.
no, it's like a rectangle almost. Like it's
But
a
it was
bent
like the entire
rectangle.
size of a
Yeah.
man's chest. It's like, Jesus Christ, I don't want that.
That might have been a Mid-South championship.
I would have been like, I'm cool.
I don't want to be champion.
I'll just keep.
But yeah, for me,
jerking.
it's that WWE ECW title, and then
Fucking gross.
those world tag team titles like that Santino and Vladimir Kozlov had, and the Nexus had, and all those titles were so ugly.
Which that's what I thought you were gonna say, but yeah,
Don't they still have those? Aren't those the kind of what?
But I guess they kind of morphed those into the Raw and SmackDown tag team
yeah,
titles.
they're
But
kind of still.
yeah, kind of look the same.
I was never a big fan of the that little like East, like the last the Intercontinental title they had after the original one.
The Globe one?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
No, the one that, like Rock War, or like not Rock, but well, yeah, like the one that Rock and Triple H feuded over.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Because they got to poop and then we're gonna smoke.
We want to thank you for joining us for this episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, the SummerSlam special, as we were watching SummerSlam, and
Now we're watching something good.
Stone Cold
Boom.
and Shawn Michaels. There it is, the Winged Eagle title. Thank you, Stone Cold. Oh, hell yeah. Chicken quesadilla.
But
And we-
Chicken quesadilla.
We will see you. We will see you next time, right here on the We Can't Wrestle podcast.
Elizabeth Chanute.